Welcome to the Weekly Mac. Today we focus on limits. How far would you go to fulfill your dreams? Well, our two guests have decided to push their limits. They are the solid climber, Sílvia Vidal, and Ultraman athlete, Marc Puig. After last week's draw, Màrius Serra and Patricia Escalona take on each other again to see who takes the lead in our quiz Guess What? Are you into jazz? Today we listen to the music of the amazing bass player and composer Giulia Valle. This is the Weekly Mac, your favorite talk show in English, hosted by Marcella Topor.
Are we afraid to step out of the ordinary life, or do we like new challenges? I'm sure today's guests belong to the latter group. They are two exceptional athletes well known in the area of Ultraman contests and solo aid climbing. Before we meet them, let's watch our glossary for the definitions of words that will appear in the interview.
Today's glossary is quite related to climbing, and the first word is ledge. A ledge is a piece of rock on the side of a cliff or mountain, which is in the shape of a narrow shelf. Climbers hold onto them with their fingers or feet, they hang hooks onto them, or simply use them to stand on. Not only ledges, but climbers also hold to the tiniest cracks. A crack is a narrow gap between two things, like rocks, which have been broken or moved apart. A climber can also hammer a piton into a crack. A piton is a tool that belongs to the equipment of climbers. It is a spike or a big metal nail that can be driven into the rock or into ice and used to secure a rope. And today we are also going to hear a very common phrasal verb, to get rid of. We get rid of something or we dispose of it when we no longer want it by giving it or by throwing it away. We can get rid of someone we don't want anything to do with by leaving them.
She's a solo aid climber who opens new routes and is able to sleep for a month on a mountain face fighting the weather without any means of communication. He's an Ultraman athlete who ran his first Ironman triathlon in 2013, and 5 years later he came fifth in the Ultraman World Championship, a 515-kilometer multi-sport race. What moves them to push their limits? Well, Sílvia Vidal and Marc Puig, welcome to the Weekly Mag.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Well, what you do is extreme for many people, for normal people, I would say. First of all, can you introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Yeah,
Sílvia.
I'm a solo aid climber. That means
Solo aid climber?
Yeah, I go alone to climb big walls that are like 1,000 meters high or more or less sometimes. With total autonomy, I just carry everything by myself, and I spend weeks or sometimes also a month living on a wall, hanging on a portalage like a hammock, sleeping there, and put up new routes. It's first time that they are climbed in remote areas like in the Himalayas, Andes, or in Alaska as well. So I'm having fun doing this kind
Lots
of
of fun, yeah. Well, Marc, what do you think about that?
Well, I am not like Sílvia because I don't like the altitude, but I am a chemistry and I work in a pharmacy in Lloret de Mar.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah,
and what do you do apart from being a chemist, in your free time or in your holidays?
I like to swim, to bike and to run, long distance. It means that it's course that you have to spend like 8 hours every day, more or less, during the race. And normally it's an Ultraman that it's during 3 days. And you swim, you bike, and you run.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different between Sílvia.
Yeah.
But it's still extreme.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between a race, a marathon, and an Ironman, an ultra marathon?
Yeah.
All these concepts mean different things, of course, and maybe you can explain them to us.
Yeah, and there are like marathon that it's 42 kilometers running, ultra marathon that it's 84,
Okay.
and then there are the ultra trails like Ultra Trail Encore that it's 128 kilometers. And then you have the triathlon that it can be an Ironman or an Ultraman that is long distance triathlon. An Ultraman is 3 days. During 3 days, you swim, bike, and run. The first day, you swim 10 kilometers, and you bike 145 kilometers with bike. The second day, you do it with bike 275 kilometers, and the third day, you do an ultra marathon, that is 84 kilometers running.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tired.
Okay.
It's tired.
Which is the latest race you've done, Marc?
It was Ultra Trail Encore, 1 month and 1 week before. That is 128 kilometers running. It was very nice, but very, very hot.
Where was it?
In Cambodia, in Siem Reap,
Okay.
around the temples of Angkor Wat. And it was very nice, but really, really hot.
Okay, you brought us a few things, a few objects here. We asked you to bring some objects that are important in your careers. So Sílvia, you want to start and tell us what these objects are?
Yeah, this, can I take it?
Yes, of course.
This is a hammer. So I use it to place the pitons on the cracks or on in the holes. And well, it's part of the equipment when you do aid climbing.
Okay.
This is a hook. You place it in a really thin or small ledge, and then you hang on it using some stairs, and you step on the stairs. And these are this is a lead head, and this is a copper head that's made of lead or copper.
Yes.
And then you smash it with the hammer into a really tiny crack, and then you hang on this.
Okay, so this, how many kilos can it actually hold?
You never know, but for sure it can hold my weight or more, because there's other people that also aid climb that it's bigger than me. But you never know exactly how much can it hold until you try it, because
Okay.
sometimes they fall down.
Sometimes they fall.
Yeah.
They fall, and when they do, what happens?
Then you fall with it.
You fall with it.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have some extra support apart from this, no? I suppose.
Well, the aid climbing, the extreme aid climbing, means that you are placing all this equipment and other kind of equipment into the wall, in the cracks or holes, wherever you find, and then you hang on each one, on each piece.
Okay.
And then, depending on how hard it is, that will mean that maybe if you fall, you can just take some of them out.
Okay, so can we say that your whole life depends on this?
Well, it's not like this extremely, but yeah, the fall depends
To an
on
extent,
it. Yeah.
yes. What's the most dangerous experience you've had, Sílvia?
It's hard to say, but when going alone, sometimes you have some situations that it could not be so dangerous if you are with someone else, but when being alone, that makes something else, no? But for example, once I lost my consciousness when being on a wall. I was going up, and then I lost the consciousness because due to hypothermia.
Oh,
So that's
where
pretty
was that?
dangerous. That was in India, in the Himalayas.
A long time ago?
Maybe 10 years ago.
So what happened? Because when you go out, you don't take any means of communication with you. You don't have a phone. You don't have a camera.
I have a camera.
You
yeah,
have a
yeah,
camera?
to take pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I can show them
All
what
right.
I've done.
But that's the only thing that you
Yeah, I don't
have with you.
GPS. No.
So what happened
When?
in India when you had this experience?
Well, it was too cold, and I was very weak, and I was pretty tired, and so due to the coldness,
But eventually you made it, no?
yeah. Otherwise, I would not be
Obviously,
here
yes.
today. Yeah.
But can I say something?
Yes, of
Because-
course.
But when you stay there
Yeah.
alone, you have to play with your mind a lot,
Yeah.
because maybe you have some times you can ask to anyone, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
How I have to do it this? you have to know what you have to do.
Yeah.
But there are situations that is the first time that you live. How do you do it?
Yeah.
Good
This kind
question.
of-
Well, you just need to decide what to do when you are in the concrete situation, no? Because I cannot previously plan how I will react
Yeah.
if this or this or this will happen, no? But it depends on what is happening, no? But I always think that this situation, doesn't matter how bad it is, it will arrive to an end. It will not last forever. So just keep calm and try to do the best as possible, and it will change for sure.
Marc, what have you brought us today? What objects?
Well, there are some a medal
Yes?
that I win in 2007 on the Ultraman World Championship in Hawaii. There is this one I win the year before in 2007, sorry, at Ultraman Florida. That we swim, bike and run the same distance that we told before. And then the bib number of that we did it 1 month and 1 week ago. That I have lucky and I win the distance. That is very sweat, but the bib numbers is the thing that I most like to save in my house more than the medals or the.
So you like to keep it and maybe put it in a frame?
Yeah, because I always think that it's important. I am very competitive and I always like to win, but it's more important the way that to have this. And when you put it the bib number, you know that you did it a big way to arrive there. You have a lot of problems or you have a good days, bad days, but you arrive. And then if you can win, good, but if you cannot win,
Is it more important to finish or to win?
Good question. I like to win, but it's real that when you don't finish, it's not important to win. Maybe you prefer arrive at 20, 50 or 100, but you want to arrive because you learn it more than if you don't finish.
I know you both have a lot of fans and you are admired by a lot of sports people. How do you feel about that?
I don't think we have that much fun. I don't have that much fun. But
And Marc?
No,
Do you
maybe
feel like you've got a lot of people who admire you?
Not too much people, but yes, that there are a lot of people that have questions sometimes, and in social media send an email or.
I don't have social media. I have no Facebook. I have no Twitter. I don't have anything. So
Yes, well, you have a website, no?
yeah, that's it. But it's not the same.
Okay, anyway, what you do is, like we said before, you both do extreme stuff and you work not just with your bodies but with your mind a lot. Which are the limits for you? Do you think about that?
Yeah. The more I try to push to my limits, the more I see that I have no idea where my limits are. That's the game, no? Every time I go for an expedition, I try to do something else, no? To put another ingredient to the sauce, like let's try if I can do this in another way, something different that I'm not sure that I will be able to do it or not, and that's the challenge, no? And when I decide to do something like this, then fear starts to appear, and then I think, wow, that will be a limit for me. That will be a limit. But once you try it and you go, then you see that maybe that's not the limit. So I think we have no idea where our limits are.
How did you feel when you had that experience in Alaska with a bear?
I felt scared and I was in panic. I've never had.
So what did you do?
well, a bear appears into my base camp, and it was so close, like 3 meters from me. And then I did what all the to-do list that they tell you, the police tell you should do when a bear presents. That it's scream and make noises and move to so the bear will see that you are bigger than you are, but it didn't work anything. So at the end, what I did, I hold up my hands and I said, I come in peace. I asked him permit to enter his territory, and then he left.
Oh,
Yeah.
lucky you.
Yeah.
You can use the hammer.
Yeah.
No?
It's
Well,
huge. It
yeah,
was huge,
it was,
the bear.
huge, yes.
And really wild, yeah.
Well, we're happy that finally the
Yeah,
bear ran away
me
and you
too.
can be here with us to tell us about your experiences. In your case, Marc, did you ever feel that you reached your limits, that you maybe, you know, you went maybe too far and had this like feeling of collapse?
No, I never think about that, because I think that all is, you have to train, all. You have to train your legs.
You train every week, yeah?
Yeah, but you have to train your legs, you have to train your mind, you have to train your body, your heart. Always you have to train, because the humans, if this question you did it 200 years ago, before,
Yes.
that we can go to New York in 7 hours with an aeroplane, anybody says, no, this is not possible. Then I think that the humans are like this. If we train some things, we can arrive.
And improve constantly.
Yeah.
What about addiction? They say that racing and running gives you this high, no, from coming from endorphins.
Yeah.
Have you experienced it a lot? What can you tell us about it? Is it a myth? Is it true?
Yeah, no, I think it's true, because when you do something that you feel good, you want more because you like it. And in the long distance, I think that Sílvia, maybe it happens the same. When you did it more hours, you need more hours to do endorphins. And when you do long distance, it's like this. You always need more. You don't need 30 minutes, maybe you need 4 hours. And this is the addiction, because you know that to arrive at these endorphins, you need it 4 hours, not 30 minutes, like the first time
Sílvia,
you start.
do you experience this addiction thing related to sports? The sport that you do?
I think, I have the addiction to all these unknown situations and risky situations, because it's kind of extreme, no? Yeah, the more you do it, the more you want it, that's true.
Okay, well, fair enough. Well, we need to stop for a moment. We'll continue later, because it is almost time for our collaborator Ana Priscila Magrinha to tell us about sports that are, well, maybe not extreme, but extremely strange. That will come after our first language tip. In our daily lives, we can cross many kinds of physical limits. We'll learn the names of some of them in a story told by our teacher, Helen Armstrong.
Hi, today I'm going to tell you a story about a professional thief who really wanted to steal a Van Gogh from a castle far, far away. So, a bit of a challenge, but at first he drove to the border, which is the frontier between two countries. Now, the border police were checking everyone's passports, but he had fake ID, so he made it over easily. Then he got to the castle property. So then he got to the moat, which is the bit of water that surrounds a castle. And he just swam straight across. Then he got to a fence. Now, a fence is a high structure, metal or wood, and he just climbed straight over it. Then he's on the castle property. So he's trespassing. Trespassing is when you're on someone's property without permission. He got to the back door and he started picking the lock. Now, this is not with a key, it's another piece of metal or something, but it's when you force a lock open. And then he was over the threshold. The threshold is the part of the door to get into someone's house. Then, once he was in, he saw the Van Gogh in front of him. He ran up, grabbed it off the wall, ripped it out of its frame, which is the metal part around a painting, rolled it up and put it under his arm. Then he climbed up to the highest tower, got to the edge, which is right at the limit of something, and jumped. Crazy? Well, then he just opened his parachute and glided back down to the ground. So he'd got over a moat, a fence, he picked a lock, he'd done all these things. Did he make a clean getaway? Well, unfortunately, whilst he was driving away, the police caught him because he'd broken the speed limit. So, not so professional after all. Bye.
Stay tuned to meet Emily Forsberg, the skyrunner who has pushed her limits to the highest level, in a few moments in the Weekly Mac.
We are chatting about limits with the solo 8 climber Sílvia Vidal and endurance athlete Marc Puig, two of the world's most renowned names in their own fields. And now let's say hello to our collaborator, Ana Priscila Magrinha.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm great, and you?
Good, good. Pretty surprised by these two people.
Do you feel motivated to start running or climbing? Maybe?
I guess I should say yes, but I'm kind of a lazy person when it comes to running and climbing, so...
Well, but actually, Marc was saying something interesting before. He thinks that actually running is a lazy thing, I think for lazy people, and I was quite surprised when he said that.
I have to explain that it's lazy because it's easy to do it.
It is easy for you, maybe.
But it's easy to think, what I have to do, running, okay, and that's all. You don't have to think about that I have to buy something, some people have to enter to my shop, or you have to run, that's all.
Okay, well, Ana Priscila, what examples of extreme sports have you brought to us today?
I've done a pretty good research. I've been working many hours to find the best extreme sports there exist in the world. And I have to say, there's a lot of them. I don't know if you ever heard about the sports I'm going to talk about now. They are real sports. First one, olive pits spitting competition. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but it's a pretty serious sport. Some people want to take it to the Olympics, so watch out. Maybe we're even going to see it on TV soon. And it's about you get an olive, you get the pit, you eat the olive, you get the pit, and then you have to throw it as far as you can. They do it in many places in Catalonia and in around Spain. Some places, for instance, in Ciència, Murcia, in Elx, al País Valencià, or here in Catalonia, in Olot. They have rules. If you spit so far that you hit somebody who's watching the competition, that doesn't count. So people who go there and watch the competition, I would tell them, just wear sunglasses or something like that, because maybe you can get you can get hurt.
Of protection.
And the record, the world record, is set in 18 meters, which is pretty impressive.
Wow.
You need to have pretty strong lungs to do that. I don't know, guys, if you see yourselves throwing an olive pit.
No, not really.
I like to see Michael Phelps in this competition.
Oh, yeah, he could be really good at that.
Really good.
But anyway, Marc, do you think that Ultraman Challenge can be considered to become an Olympic sport sometime?
I was to, in some years, it will be an Olympic sport. There are a triathlon, an Olympic triathlon. But I think that the long distance, it will be an Olympic game.
Okay, well, hopefully one day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're any good with your toes, you know, like, I don't know,
well, it
tap
depends
dancing
on
maybe, or toe wrestling. I'm introducing you to toe wrestling.
Toe wrestling.
What is this about?
That's a good one.
No shoes on, no socks on, you get another contestant, you put your toes together and let's see who wins. I guess you have to practice a little bit. I don't know what kind of exercises
and
you need to do.
your feet, make sure your feet are very clean also.
That would be an important point as well. Maybe the most important one.
You know what comes to my mind when I hear about this, especially the last one? The devil finds work for idle hands.
That is totally true.
You know, and I guess these people are probably quite bored as well.
Well,
they were probably very bored when they invented this, I don't know if I should call it a sport.
We have to go to England to see the beginnings of this beautiful
discover.
sport. But yeah, it was invented in 1976 by these guys who were probably really bored in a pub. So.
Okay.
I went to England the year before.
Yeah.
And we arrived at the Isla of Man, and we questioned what we can see there, and the answer it was you have to go there because there are a very good pub. It was in shock.
Did you eventually go or not?
No.
No. Okay, and Ana Priscilla, you've got some more
yeah, I have
activities.
The last one I'm presenting to you today, and it's called egg throwing. Okay, egg throwing.
Egg throwing.
We usually use eggs in the kitchen to cook omelets, but there's these people that they created a sport. What is it about? You need two people. One is the egg tosser and the other one is the egg catcher. And who wins? The couple that gets the longest distance without breaking an egg. It's pretty impressive because you need to throw the egg like pretty far away, and then the other one has to be really good and gentle at the same time because the egg has to be, it doesn't have to be broken at the end. I wouldn't be good at that one. Definitely not good at that one.
What do you think about that, Sílvia and Marc?
It's crazy how creative people can be. Yeah.
Okay, and when you say creative, right, I think, well, you've been yourselves, both of you, in situations when you had to use your imagination. Can you maybe give us an example?
Yeah, I remember once that I had to cross a river, and I had already crossed it when going up, but due to the rain and it was increasing, and so the water, so I could not cross it, and so I decided to wait there, and I waited 1 week there. Whoa. Because there was no chance to cross it.
Really?
Yeah.
And where was that?
In Chile, in the Patagonia. So and I was spending the whole time trying to figure out how to cross it with some branches or trees, and I tried to make something like to float, but I couldn't. So I was trying to use all my creativity, but at the end it was like, okay, you need to wait here until the water.
Wow, for a week. That's
yeah,
a
because
long
it
time.
was
Safety first always.
When the rain stopped. So when the rain stops, the water goes down.
And I was also curious, I wanted to find out about your training and your preparation before you go to a race, to a trip, to an expedition. So, of course, you need to do special preparations. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, there are a lot of things that you have to do, like eat well, stay quiet, and train a lot, but it's not
going to a pub. Maybe that's also
exactly
training. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. No, but I think that the most important is to stay quiet and to have the goal always.
You mean when you like stay focused, no?
Exactly, and be realist. No?
Realistic.
Yeah, realistic.
Yes.
That you have to know that this goal you can do it, because if I know that if I want to run more than 4,000 kilometers without sleeping, I can't do it. But I can do 100. And you have to stay focused and to do all that you have in your hands to do it. If this goal is what you really want to do it.
Okay, and Sílvia, in your case?
I don't do like a concrete training, because it's different to go for a race than to go for an expedition.
Sure.
That it will last for 2 months. So
and you know what you're talking about, because I know that before being a climber, you were an athlete, no?
I was doing athletics.
You were doing athletics?
Yes. But when I'm going for an expedition, for sure I have been the whole year climbing and going to the mountains, hiking and going with mountain bike, but not like a concrete training specific for this. But for me, it's very important, the mental training. Before going, I prepare myself, just trying to convince me that everything will go well, and that every day that I will be there, I will be more fit and more fit instead, or more weak and weak. That was happened some years ago, but not now, no?
Okay, so psychological training is maybe sometimes more important than physical training.
Yeah, both are very important, but yeah, for sure, mentally part it's...
So you both need to have a life and a strong discipline in your life, I suppose, no?
Yeah.
Or a strong motivation, maybe, more than discipline. I'm not very
disciplined. You don't like the word discipline?
No, not really. I can't say I'm very disciplined person.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, you would say you have to follow a really strict discipline for what you do.
Yeah, maybe just during the expedition, but I'm going to an expedition once in a while, so the rest of the time
You're just living the life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good for you.
Okay. Thank you, Ana Priscilla, for telling us about all these
Are you going to practice any of them?
sports. Well, I will have to think about it.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one to pick
We can
up.
do the egg one. You and me.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah, we can play.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll continue to talk about athletes. And do you know Emily Forsberg?
Yeah.
Yes? Well, she has just published a book.
Yeah.
She is known for practicing skyrunning.
Yeah.
Which is?
Is running the World Championship. That is some races between 24 to 42 kilometers. And I think that she's the World Championship in 2006 or 2007.
Okay, well done, Mark.
Yeah.
You're very well informed, I see. Well, we'll continue with the athletes. In our portrait section, we'll meet an athlete who is used to run among the clouds. She is Emily Forsberg, that has recently published Skyrunner, a book about running and life, with pictures by her well-known partner, Kilian Jornet. We have talked to Emily. She tells us about life, limits, and mountain. Check it out.
My name is Emily Forsberg and I'm a trail runner and ski mountaineer. They suggested that I was gonna write a book all about running and training. Running is so much my whole life, and life is so much more than running as well. So I wanted to focus on the big picture. I have always been like to share things that I really appreciate, nice runs or just small things like a good coffee. So this is another way of sharing things and connect to people. Some say that I have been an inspiration to train or to follow their heart and to maybe also change their life in a way, to live closer to nature or things like that. And it's always nice to hear people say that you have inspired them to something. Either it's running or a bigger change in life or just to eat more vegetarian. Sometimes the limits can feel like you cannot go any further. And I believe that maybe at the moment it can be true, but it's also a lot about the process and finding the way to push your limits. It's really interesting because in many situations I think that we can push the limits, but it's also really important to know when you cannot. You need to trust your instinct there, I think, but it's important not to take too big steps to push the limits, I think, especially if it's in dangerous situations or situations that you are not comfortable in. Success, it can be you put a goal and the steps to go there, and you are reaching all the steps, but then something happens with the goal that you maybe not achieve what you think, but so that can be seen as a failure, but it's also you learn so much on the way there. You need to trust in yourself and in your partner, and also trust in what you have and your own decisions. And that was I talking about in Choyu, that I knew that Kilian was going to be fine, and he knew that I was going to be fine, and we decided just to go separate ways in the mountains. And that's how it is. You need to trust in the other and to trust in what you have.
I wouldn't feel good being at the summit at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think I need to go down and just take very easy the downhill.
Take really care in the downhill.
Yeah.
You need to feel your own body and what is okay for you. And even at 6 months pregnant, I was in the Himalayas, and I was just taking it. I knew that I couldn't push as before, but at least I want to continue as much as I can if I feel okay, because it's. You need to continue your life, but have respect and to feel what's your limits. I sometimes get message from let's say Swedish people that say, oh, I've been to Kebnekaise and now I'm going up to Mont Blanc because I saw that you did it. And that makes me really, really scared, because Mont Blanc is not an easy mountain, and you cannot go there just because you're a runner. It takes so much more, and you need to be humble and you need to know your limits. But maybe it's just that some are not really aware of how dangerous it actually can be, because if you see a picture of me running there or someone else running there, it looks really easy, but it's because we have been doing it for so many years and taking step by step. It takes time and patience to build something. I just wish that we had more respect for time and for our own limits in a way, because the mountains are always there.
We are back chatting with two sports people who have made a difference pushing their own limits, the climber Sílvia Vidal and the long-distance athlete Marc Puig. And we have just explored some of the strangest and funniest sports with Ana Priscila Magrinha and med skyrunner Emily Forsberg. Remember, all of it is available on the internet. Well, Marc and Sílvia, we always finish our interviews with a mystery question, a surprise we've got for you. And Ana Priscila will tell you how it works.
It is really easy, guys. The only thing you have to do is grab a ball from the table.
One at a time?
One at a time. Open it, read the question out loud, and answer it very honestly. If you're not honest, we're gonna know. So if you wanna start, okay. Sílvia, maybe?
Okay.
Okay, Sílvia.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see what it says.
And if I don't like it?
if you don't like it, you can make it up. We won't know.
What's that piece of clothing you don't want to get rid of when thought it's so old? This piece of clothes.
This one?
Maybe it's 20, 25 years old.
Oh,
wow.
Where did you get it?
I never get rid of my clothes until they are broken.
So you don't spend that much money on clothes?
No, I don't.
Well,
and you get
was
attached
easy.
to them. Yeah, that was an easy one.
See, that was a good one.
Okay.
Excellent. Marc, it's your turn.
We see.
Oh my God, it's an empty one. Get another one then.
I know.
That was the easiest question
exactly.
ever.
That's Marc's trick, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the hardest, that's the easy one. Okay, what place in the world do you fancy not visiting?
Have you ever visited some place that you have found awful and you don't want to go back, maybe?
Yes.
Can you say what it is?
We went with my wife to Cambodia, and especially there is a city that is called Sihanoukville.
Yeah.
That it was very dirty and a lot of constructions for Chinese people. And it's not a place that I want to go again.
back to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, fair enough. Satisfied, Ana Priscila?
I am satisfied.
And
I
now
think
it's your
we have
turn.
been pretty honest.
Okay, well, anyway, before going, I'd like to ask you guys, Marc and Sílvia, which are your next projects and challenges?
Giulia.
Okay. I really don't know yet. To me, the next project, it's nothing that I can easily find it, because usually I go to remote areas, unknown areas, so there's no information. So I'm just searching and looking on the internet for new areas to find a big wall there. So when it will appear, I will know it, but it will take a time, maybe, or maybe not. So if someone knows a big wall in a remote area, please
let me know.
And meanwhile, Sílvia, until you decide where to go, what do you do on a daily basis?
I go climbing, and then I spend the rest of the time doing other things, like being with friends, and also I'm doing speeches and conferences for schools and for business companies, or for another kind of events.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like motivational speeches?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Mm. And you, Marc?
Me, I will do the Barcelona Marathon. I try to do less than 2 hours and 30. And then I go to Menorca to do it long distance running, that is 185 kilometers. And
that's so easy for you.
Yeah.
Come on, just try to find something more challenging.
More challenge. I think it's a good challenge. No, but I think that the important is to have fun and to stay good with my mind and with my heart. That is the important thing that all the spectators have to know, that if you want to do something, it don't be easy, but you can do it. The fear is always there, and the easy way is always there. But I don't start running 4 hours. I start running 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
I'm going to go home running today.
Exactly.
You have inspired me.
Well, okay, thank you, Marc and Sílvia, for coming today, and good luck with all your projects. And thank you, Ana Priscila.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Guess what? The phrase often used in English to grab your attention is also the name of our particular quiz show. Last time, it ended in a draw between our two contestants, Màrius Serra and Patricia Escalona. Let's see how much they know about today's surprise subject, which is, well, we'll discover it after our language tip. Tim War will tell us about idioms having to do with limits. Check it out.
So, welcome back. Today we're going to look at some expressions to do with limits and boundaries. The first expression is to set boundaries. Now, it's very important if you're teaching children, or if you have children of your own, if you're a parent, to set strict boundaries for your children's behavior. Okay, because if not, if you don't give them any limits, then they're going to go crazy. They're going to be climbing up the walls. This means that they're completely out of control. And this is going to be very, very stressful for you. You could say it drives you up the wall. So they're climbing up the walls, they're going crazy. It drives you up the wall, you're going crazy. It's a terrible situation. The next one is if something is out of bounds or off limits. Okay, this means that like an area is restricted, it means you cannot enter it. So you could say, for example, this part of the playground today is off limits. You cannot enter this part. Okay? We also talk about specific topics or themes being off limits as well. So for example, if you have a family member who's particularly sensitive about politics or religion, you could say, don't talk about those. Those topics are off limits. The next one is a restricted area. It's quite similar to out of bounds or off limits. It just means that this area you cannot enter. So maybe we're talking about like a government compound or a secret government area like Area 51. You could say, this is a restricted area, you cannot enter. Okay? The next one is to cross the line. This one means to go too far. So you could say, for example, if you're in a relationship and you say you have specific limits about what each other can do in that relationship, and somebody crosses the line, means they go too far, they do something very, very bad. If this happens, your partner might choose to ditch you. And to ditch someone means to get rid of you, to break up with you, okay, and end the relationship. Another one is to be on the verge of doing something. So this means you're just about to do something. Maybe you're thinking about, I don't know, quitting your job, for example. You could say, I'm on the verge of quitting your job. I'm just about to do it, maybe because you're very stressed. And the last one, to end on a positive note, is the sky's the limit. This one just means that anything is possible. The sky's the limit. Well, I hope they've been useful, and try them out this week. Put them into practice. Thank you.
Today at the Weekly Mag, we listen to one of the most famous jazz bass players and composers, Giulia Valle.
And it's time for our quiz. Guess what? Sergi Cervera, our quiz master, is with us. Welcome, Sergi. What's the subject today?
All right, today we're going to talk about villains. And hi, Marcella. Yeah, we are going to continue testing our contestants about literature and fiction. Since we talk about limits today, we will focus on those characters who have cross the line a little bit. So we will test your knowledge about, as I said, villains. All right?
Yeah.
Seems difficult. Seems difficult. They're the best.
Or not. I think it's quite easy.
Okay, let's start with the first challenge. It's about guessing a famous fictional villain. The rules, piece of cake. Marcella reads some hints, and as soon as you know the answer, ring your bell. And if you get it right, yay, hurrah! And if you get it wrong, we're gonna get really mad at you.
Okay.
No, just kidding, but your chance goes to your opponent.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so let's start.
Okay, let's go for it. This villain is a male fantastic creature. He was introduced in a novel by an English author in 1937. He's small, slimy, and has big eyes. Rather than by his own name, this creature is known by a noise that he makes. And the most famous phrase uttered by this creature is, "My precious."
Patricia?
Gollum!
This answer is correct! Màrius, your last precious. Right, exactly.
If only for that, this is all worth it.
That's worth it. Yeah, we are talking about Gollum, or known as Sméagol as well. In The Hobbit, he's just a minor character that keeps a ring of invisibility. And as you know, both the ring and Gollum have a decisive and very important role in The Lord of the Rings. But no spoilers, just in case. So let's keep playing.
Let's go for the next one. Ready?
Okay.
Well, this villain is a she. She is the main antagonist in a 1956 novel which was later adapted into a famous film. And this villain has a name which is a play of two words. The story is full of animals.
Patricia?
Cruella de Vil.
Congratulations, well done, Patricia. Yeah, 2 points for you. A lot to win for you, Màrius. Exactly.
More future than past.
Correct. Yeah. I like it.
That's it.
All right. Of course, we were talking about Cruella de Vil, the famous character from Dodie Smith's novel, The 101 Dalmatians. Her name is made with cruel and devil, and her country house is nicknamed Hell Ha. All right.
Nice name.
Nice name.
Anyway, what about your favorite villains, Patricia and Màrius?
Oh, maybe Lady Macbeth.
Oh, good.
Because it's a she villain and very, very nice, in fact. I love Lady Macbeth.
Very strong character.
Very strong.
And to counterpart this incredible piece of information of classic literature, I'm going to go with Loki from the Thor films in the Avengers.
Good. Loki.
And also the comic books, but it's super fun. I think it's a great character.
And are you two or the three of you familiar with the dark side?
Only by night.
Depends what it means.
I try to be there as much as possible.
I like that answer. I would give you an extra half point for that, but I'm not allowed to do
please.
so.
No, don't do that.
All right, I'm a responsible quiz master. Okay, so let's go with the second round. And just like last week, this second challenge involves guessing one name from the name we give you. And today we will give you either the name of a villain or you will have to guess the hero of the story, or the other way around. You know, you will get the name of the hero and you will have to, you know, name the antagonist.
Okay.
Let's go. Dr. Moriarty. Good.
Sherlock Holmes.
Good point for Màrius.
Okay.
All right.
I'm coming back.
3, 2, 1. The Queen of Hearts.
Alice in Wonderland, Alice.
Correct.
Oh.
Point for Patricia. The Smurfs.
Oh, the Smurfs.
Yeah.
Gargamel.
3. Okay, exactly. So no, hold on. 2 and 2, 4 for Patricia, 1 for Màrius.
Yeah,
But
there
is much to win here. The Wicked Witch of the West. Patricia.
The Witch of the
3,
North.
2, 1.
North.
No, that's incorrect. Incorrect.
Magician. Oz magician?
That's not correct.
That's not the hero?
That's not. That's not the right answer
remember,
we're looking for.
I don't remember the name
5,
of that
4, 3,
strange
2,
creature.
1.
What's the girl?
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Voldemort.
Correct. Doctor No.
James Bond.
Correct. And Wile E. Coyote.
Coyote?
Or Coyote.
Let's say.
Right. Màrius. 5,
How
4,
could I say that?
3, 2.
No.
Wild Runner was it?
That's correct. But Màrius was going there as well.
Runner.
So 1 point for both.
Okay.
And then, all right. So 6 for Patricia and 3 for Màrius. How do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like playing tennis. This is a tennis match, so our first set is here, but we start with the second one.
But there is no love here.
No?
There is some love, Patricia. All right.
Like in a tennis
prefer
match,
love.
there's no
Love.
love.
Let's continue and make it a little more difficult, talking about a group. So,
A group.
Okay, the next question is, name 3 villains in the Batman films.
Patricia?
Poison Ivy,
Correct.
Joker,
Correct.
and Penguin.
That is correct. 7 points for you and 3 for you, Màrius.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
But what monsters or villains were you afraid of as kids?
I was very afraid, and it was really stupid because I was a kid and I had never watched the Star Wars films, but I was super scared of Darth Vader. I even had
Darth
nightmares.
Vader? Really?
Yeah, I even had nightmares in which he ran after me and he tried to get me, and it's like I had never watched the films until I was like 19 or something. So.
Scary.
Yeah.
I don't remember any particular monster, but I remember Godzilla. But I don't think I was a child when Godzilla was out there. But Godzilla was really ugly.
Okay, I was more like in the dark side, like more like Darth Vader.
Nice. Yeah.
But because he was cool. He was really cool. He was a very nice villain.
You have a very weird concept of cool.
He was a good guy. At the end of the story, he was a good guy. Just a concerned father, that's all.
Oh, God. We really have to talk, you and I.
In the dark side.
The score?
The score is 7-3.
Very cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be right back with the outcome of our quiz. We'll also listen to the music of Giulia Valle Trio, discover Jamaica, and learn a few things about the most famous carnivals in Catalonia and across the world. Stay with us. Welcome back to our quiz. We're in the middle of our Guess What today, dedicated to villains. And what's the score, Sergi?
The score is 7-2 Patricia, 3-2 Màrius.
Nice.
Okay.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Na.
You might feel better after this round of the multiple choice question.
Oh.
As your last chance to win today's game, all right? So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. There is 3 possible answers. You pick your answer,
Okay.
and point for one that's correct,
All
okay?
right.
Which one of these villains does not appear in a Disney animation film? Hold on.
Okay.
A. Ursula. B. Jafar. C. Boba Fett.
I think it's C.
C. Màrius?
I think it's B.
B. All right. Point to Patricia. Yes, absolutely. Ursula's the evil witch in The Little Mermaid, and Jafar is the villain of Aladdin, whereas Boba Fett is a bounty hunter in the Star Wars films. And a great and cool character, I might say.
Pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
That's it?
That's it?
Which one of these powerful villains belongs to James Bond's films? A. The Master. B. Poison Ivy. C. Les Chiffres.
A.
A. And Màrius?
I would say C, but I don't know.
That is correct. C. Les Chiffres.
I'm lucky.
I'm a James Bond fan, and Les Chiffres. Yeah, Les Chiffres is one of the most notorious enemies of James Bond from Casino Royale. And Poison Ivy is one of Batman's enemies, and the Master is the name of one of the villains of the TV series Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And last but not least, next question, and to make it more interesting, this last question is worth 5 points.
Wow!
Wow!
All right. So there is nothing decided yet. We are 8-4. All right.
Okay.
What's going to happen if we add 5 points? We will see. Okay. Are you ready?
To rock.
Ready like ready?
Yeah.
Which one of these witches or fairies is not a villain? A. Glinda. B. Maleficent. C. Grimhelm Queen. For 5 points.
I think it's C.
C.
I am doubting between A and C, but of course I have to risk it to A.
A.
Yeah.
A is correct. 5 points. 9-8. We have a winner. Glinda is the good witch of the South in the film The Wizard of Oz, while Maleficent and Grimly Queen are respectively the witches from The Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Means that we have a winner.
Well, congratulations,
Good for
Màrius.
you.
Thank you, but I'm very...
Màrius won. Incredible,
It's
right?
That's incredible. That's incredible.
How does it feel?
That was really. I was lucky.
It's your lucky day.
Yeah, it's a lucky day. So let's go to play something.
We need to
Let's
talk
go
about
and
this
celebrate.
Yeah,
point.
We need to
celebrate.
celebrate. Well, congratulations again, and thank you, Patricia.
Okay.
Thank you. And that ends our quiz show dedicated to villains. If you missed it and think you can answer our questions, check it out online on our website. But stay with us for now because it's time for the solution to our weekly enigma by Màrius Serra. So Màrius, what's the clue?
Well, last week we had the most protective British newspaper.
Yeah.
And I think all of you...
You know, I was thinking, I was just thinking and thinking
and
for the
reading
answer.
newspapers, and which was the answer, Patricia?
The Guardian.
The Guardian, because it was protecting people. This week would be shorter, which does not mean easier, right? Let's see.
I'm sure about this.
Okay.
It doesn't get right until 90. 5 letters. It doesn't get right until 90. 5 letters.
Okay, the number 90 makes you think.
Yeah.
Does it have to do with age? Is the first time you've included a number?
Yeah, that's a trick. That's tricky, so you have to look at this number with a double sense.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait until next week. Thank you, Màrius, for coming, and thank you, Patricia, and Sergi, of course, our quiz master. Until next time.
Yeah.
And they say Jamaicans are proud people, and for sure Rachel Brown is. She is in love with her homeland, and after you watch her in our e-speakers video, you'll probably think Jamaica is worth a visit. It is home to celebrities such as Bob Marley or Usain Bolt, and the third most populous Anglophone country in the Americas after USA and Canada. Have a look at what this island in the Caribbean has to offer.
Hi, I'm Rachel Brown. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. I'm 27, almost 28. And I'm here doing my PhD in Barcelona. I also teach. Woo, Jamaica. Oh, it's the best country on earth. Obviously, I'm unbiased. It's a country that's full of vibrant people that are innovative, just amazing people, very talented. We make anything out of nothing. So the most beautiful beaches you've ever seen, rivers, mountains, everything is there. The food is the best in the world. The music is the best in the world. I'm very proud to be Jamaican. Jamaica is awesome. The only thing that you shouldn't miss in Jamaica is everything. Experience all of the culture. Go to Portland, visit the Blue Lagoon. Go to St. Elizabeth, visit Treasure Beach. Go to Kingston. If you love reggae music, visit the Bob Marley Museum as well as Frenchtown Culture Yard. If you love coffee, go to Cafe Blue or the Blue Mountains to get the best coffee in the world. Everything is the best in the world. Go to the beach. Negril has a 7-mile meet. Is it 7 mile or 9 mile? One of them. It's a long beach. Go there. Pure white sand, crystal clear, blue, beautiful water, and then experience the culture with the people. Going to some local stores, some local restaurants for amazing food, as well as the nightlife. So we have dance hall. Check out a street dance and enjoy yourself. My favorite national hero or figure is Nanny of the Maroons, and she's the only female heroine or female hero in Jamaica, which is awesome. Nanny helped the slaves to escape from the plantations, and she built a town in the hills and helped to free the slaves to get there and started a revolution with her brother Kojo, which is amazing. Also, Marcus Garvey is a famous activist. Bob Marley, also an activist and a musician. In addition to that, I would say living legends like Usain Bolt. I don't have a favorite because it's impossible. But if you go to Jamaica, you have to have curry goat. Sounds strange to some people, but it's going to change your life. Curry goat, rice and peas. You need to try our national dish, which is ackee and saltfish. You need to try fried dumpling, festival, boiled dumpling, yam and banana. You also need to have jerk chicken, which is probably the most famous Jamaican dish. Callaloo, you have to try that as well, and then some fruits. So you have Ethiopian apple, you have to try, or watermelon, or tangerine, or everything. It's gonna change you forever. We have some very traditional festivities, but a lot of them have been adopted over time. So I love Christmas. Christmas time in Jamaica is unlike Christmas time anywhere else. So I have a nonprofit, I think I've told you about that, called the Every Mickle Foundation. On Christmas Eve, we all get together with 6 different children's homes, and then we have dinner together. So we're like the family that they don't have. So Christmas in Jamaica. We also have a Jonkanu festival, which is pretty traditional. People dress up and it's nice. People love carnival. I'm not a huge carnival fan, but people from all over the world come to Jamaica for carnival to dance and enjoy themselves, have a good time. And then also every sports event is like a huge, it's a huge deal in Jamaica. So Olympics, we'll watch it together. We're cheering on our athletes. There's a lot of pride in the air. There's National Heroes Day. There's, just a lot.
Have you ever wondered what it is like to be a homeless in Barcelona? We talk with David Bryan, someone who knows the streets all too well.
Our next artist was born in Italy, but she has grown up in Barcelona and is considered a unique voice of contemporary jazz scene. She is a bass player, but also a composer and arranger that has brought her music to the very Blue Note Club in New York and the Montreal International Jazz Festival. Giulia Valle, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Marcella.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you here.
And it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Well, Giulia, your last album, Live in San Francisco, was recorded in San Francisco, of course. What was the experience like?
It was a very good experience. I have to say that the live recording, because we did that on the San Francisco Jazz Festival context, so we were able to do gig and at the same time to do a record of the gig. That's a good experience. I recommend it to every musician because what you play is what will be reflected, but at the same time, the energy you can give on stage is very different and much more powerful than the energy that sometimes you can give on a studio. So it was a very good experience, I have to say, in general. Yeah.
Well, you have a classic music training, but you specialized in jazz. and today's topic is limits. So would you say that there are any limits in jazz? Is it maybe one of the most open music styles?
It is a very open music style because, well, jazz takes like almost 1 century of time already in music. And nowadays there is from like very old times jazz, since flamenco jazz, hip hop jazz. There's no really many boundaries on that music.
That's
and
good.
Also what I always say, and I realize, and I say to my students, which I love to teach, it's one of my favorite things also, is that we are like the architects of music. Like a jazz musician usually understands why this pop song can make you emotional, because we can know about the construction of music, harmonically talking, and I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but it gives you a big range of possibilities to be a jazz musician.
Tell me about your ensemble, your new project, Giulia Valle Ensemble. I know you are very busy with it, so what is it about?
Well, it's a big ensemble.
Yes.
And I am playing every month at Jamboree. I'm very glad about that. And the idea is to put together well-known musicians and very young and very talented musicians. So playing my music, because I like to write music a lot. This is something I try to do as much as I can. And so I am going to do the 8th album. It's about to be released. I cannot tell you still nothing very concrete. We still don't know in which conditions or label, but the album has been done already.
How would you describe it in a few words?
No limits.
Wow.
No boundaries. Very eclectic. Someone told me you should define your music like post-jazz. So post-jazz could mean anything. It has for sure classical influences, because on the compositionally wise, I've been always very attached to the classical structures and the classical musicians. But I also like very much modern rhythms and modern harmonies. So I think I found my own folklore,
Sounds
which
great.
is something that can be more or less appreciated, but at least is extremely honest.
And if you had to describe your own style, what would you say?
Difficult. Really, it's very difficult to describe. It's just music that tries to catch, you know, the attention of the listener. And I try to use my few resources, because the more you grow up, the more you realize you don't know nothing, right? Just to make, I try to put my knowledge, okay, at the service of the emotions. I think that sometimes if music is too much intellectual, it can be very hard to receive by the public, people, the listener. If there is only too much guts and heart, it can be also poor, you know? So the ideal context for me in music would be a perfect balance in between these, but also guts. And I grew up listening Jimi Hendrix and listening Ravel and listening The Cure also, and a lot of different great styles. And I believe there's not a good style or a bad style. There's good music or bad music, but you can find great electronic music, you can find great jazz music, great classical music, tango,
of course,
everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, and before we conclude this interview, Giulia, what are you going to perform for us today?
I'm going to perform a tune entitled Tango d'Ensemble. It's a tune that I wrote for this big ensemble that I play with every month at Jamboree, yes, which is an octet, sometimes nonette, because I'm always bringing guests, you know. And but we're going to perform a trio version, piano, bass, and drums, with my new trio.
Okay, and you are going to be on stage with Tom Amat
on
yes,
piano,
and Adria Claramunt.
Adria Claramunt on drums.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds great, Giulia. We are looking forward to listening to you. Thank you so much for coming, and good luck with all your projects.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. In a moment, Giulia will play for us, and while she joins her band on stage, we'll listen to our last language tip of today. Well, how well do you know the English preposition and adverb off? Listen to Tim Guinness's next language tip about how it's used.
So today we're talking about a very short word in English that can cause some big problems for speakers of Catalan because there are no direct translations. And that word, of course, is off. So first things first, off means an away from or a separation. So imagine you're on a bridge and you jump off, hopefully with a rope. The other thing, imagine you're on a bike and you fall off your bike. So think about you're separating from the bike. We also think about clothing, and you need to take clothing off. And one expression that we have with a particular piece of clothing is to take your hat off to someone. So I'm expressing admiration if I say I take my hats off to you, or maybe to Lionel Messi. Now, something less positive would be telling someone to back off. And that means take yourself away from me. I need some separation from you. And off has some more meanings. We could say there's a narrow road off the main street, or there are some beautiful islands off the coast of Catalonia or the Costa Brava. If you're sick, you might need to take a day off work, so you can't go in, or maybe you're not sick and you just need a day to yourself as well. If things are going negatively, sometimes we need to call them off, and that's usually for events. So imagine you're going to a wedding, or you are in the wedding, and you have to cancel it because you don't want to get married anymore. You call the wedding off. And that's probably because things have been off between you and your partner, just they're not right. And we use off in that way as well. So if you think about food, food can go off. So it's best not to eat any fish. It doesn't start to smell very nice after a few days. And that's it from me. But before I go, there's one thing I need to tell you. You better switch off the lights. Bye.
Today we get to know carnivals around the world and visit Solsona, the most carnival-obsessed town in Catalonia. Don't miss it!
Central and quiet between Las Ramblas and Portal del Ángel in Barcelona, Santa Anna's church area has lots of history. David Bryan, an Irish IT specialist, knows it because he slept on those streets as a homeless. Now he lives in a flat provided by Arrels Fundació, but hitting the cold floor of Santa Anna again is still a danger. Today is in our section Home from Home, the life on the streets of Barcelona.
I am David Bryan and I'm here in Santa Anna. Well, I was an IT professional. I worked for two major companies testing their computer systems. Sadly, both jobs terminated very quickly, so I found myself in the street because I had no job and I couldn't get accommodation. And I've been in Spain almost 7 years now in total. As I come from Ireland, I'm pretty comfortable with all types of weather. Fortunately in Spain there's more sun than rain, but when it's cold and it's wet, you have to cope. You have to find some place to shelter. We have a rule here in the street that the safest place to sleep is close to a police station or indeed a church. And so I chose the church. This is quite popular at Santa Anna because the clergy, the people who come here to pray, they're pretty patient with us. Santa Anna is central. And if you look around me now, you will see that there's many people who I suspect are homeless. So we were in a unique club, and that they were homeless, I was homeless. It was central. Santa Anna provided some hot beverages and some sandwiches occasionally, and then there was other places around where I could go. This place specifically, I found it's comfortable. Tranquilo, I think they say in Spanish. I got to know quite a lot of people. I used to spend a lot of time actually reading, not too far from where I'm sitting at the moment. It's nearby to places that we will go to eat. And there's lots of distractions, the Ramblas, which is quite close by, lots of people to see, lots of things to see. So you can choose between being here, which is quiet, or you can choose to walk 100 meters from here, which is very noisy. At the moment, I'm being accommodated by a charity here in Barcelona. My main problem is I'm living two lives. One is a normal life where I have accommodation, I have a place to sleep. It's warm when it's cold out here. It's safe. But I'm still living in the past, whereas I have to go to some of these places I went before when I was homeless to get food. And that's not very comfortable to be living those two lives. It's for me, it's either one or the other. And from here, I'm hoping to get some financial support. And that's the only way I can see living a normal life. So if I do not get financial support, I'm going to return to the street. It is possible to come back here. I have a long experience of being on the street. It wouldn't be hard to return to this place, for example.
If there is a time in the year where going off limits is allowed, it's precisely these days. Many Catalan towns are preparing their main carnival parades this very moment. And today we have decided to have a special section to discuss carnival in Catalonia and across the world. So let's greet our collaborator Matthew Tree as usual. Hello,
Hi
Matthew.
there.
And also let's congratulate Marc Broderick, who has just become a dad. And Dani Gutierrez is here with us today. You're not Marc. Well, you pretend to be Marc.
Really, yeah. I'm going to try
so
not
you just
to, but...
swapped places today.
Yeah. So yeah, usually I'm on the other side, on the camera, on the back of the camera, so...
And we are happy to have you. So, Dani, are you a carnival person?
Actually, not really. I'm not super... I think it's super funny, and it's a great thing to do, and I don't know, I try to do that during the whole year. So then when it's carnival, it's okay, it's not so necessary to do that, but I don't know why.
Well, I know you lived in Italy, near Venice.
Yeah.
So did you participate in the carnival there?
Yeah, it was nice. I was living in Padua, it's like half an hour from Venice, and you know, that's a spectacular place. Actually, the great parties are really expensive. I mean, it costs like €1,000, something like that, because are in these, you know, huge buildings, and it's super fancy and spectacular. So I just went to these free parties on the street that, I don't know, from people from all around the world, and so on. It was okay, but it wasn't like this, you know, this glamorous Venice thing that you can watch in I don't know, movies or stuff like that.
Okay, great. Well, I think Matthew has prepared some information about the most popular carnivals in the world.
Well, the most obvious one is Rio. I mean, the Rio Carnival, I think I've been hearing about it since I was about 6 years old, because it's always, both in England, here in Catalonia, it's always a news item. Every year it rolls around. And it goes on for 4 nights, and they set up a thing called a Sambadrome, which is like 700 meters, a 700-meter street venue. 90,000 people can sit on a grandstand just to watch the carnival, not to take part in it, and they have to pay for that privilege. So it's like a huge, huge thing. And I remember also watching, I think it was a BBC report on the Rio Carnival. I don't know if this is still true, this is quite a while ago, but one of the things they pointed out was that because everything is so up in the air and anything can happen, it's when a lot of love triangles stop being triangles and just become couples permanently. You know, like a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes.
I see.
That was one news item I remember very well about the Rio Carnival. And then there's Trinidad and Tobago. It is anyway a huge Caribbean tradition as well, carnival. Mardi Gras in New Orleans is incredibly well known, which is actually something I would like to see just for the music, just to listen to the music.
Well, carnivals are said to be a party for the people, not so much for the elite. And I know that this week, Dani, you've been to Solsona.
Yes, yeah, I've been Marc Broderick twice. The second time I was. I went to a rehearsal of this carnival in Solsona. It was one of the most famous in Catalonia. It was funny because it's kind of a rebellion act, because it was like the first carnival that was reestablished in Spain, because I didn't know that, during the dictatorship they were forbidden. In 1971 they started to do it, like they tried, they even did some kind of a speech in Catalan, and they said it was in a car on the go, in case, you know, the policeman came and, you know, just catch them. So it was funny to discover this part, that it was, you know, the first place where they say, come on, we want our traditions back. So we're standing for that. And then the second part, I mean, they're a bit crazy, because actually they hang a donkey, you know, a fake donkey. And it was the most important part of the celebration, and the donkey at the end pee on the people. And you know, our collaborator Màrius Serra, that was here before, he knew exactly that, because he was Donkey Killer of Honor 2 years ago, and he was the one who did the speech just before the donkey pee.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But earlier,
well, sounds like fun. So shall we watch the video?
Yeah, let's watch this video. We asked some people in this rehearsal in Solsona what they think about their special carnival.
Okay, let's check it out.
It's carnival time. Here we are in Solsona. They are doing the rehearsal for this year's carnival. It's really crazy. I don't know, it's a bit dangerous, but we're going to try to survive. We're going to ask people what they think about their own carnival.
In Solsona, the carnival is completely different than the other carnivals.
It's called like the carnival of the carnival, so it's a carnival that makes fun of all the other carnivals.
It's not about getting dressed up, it's more about doing activities that you would not normally do.
Like killing donkeys, for example.
Exactly.
A really normal thing to do.
Everybody does that. It's built by the people, so it's not something that the government does and you just go and see it. It's that the people build it and decide what activities are going to be done, and they create them and everybody participates. So it's done by the people, for the people.
She looks ready for carnival. Are you?
Well, very interesting, Danny.
Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
like you had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great with Albert. So yeah, it was funny to be there in the progress of the carnival. Yeah.
We noticed that. Well, let's pass on the question to Matthew. Matthew, are you a carnival man?
No,
Carnival
not at
person?
all. Not at all.
Not at
no.
all.
I don't. I really hate the idea of dressing up. I mean, there is a carnival in Britain, in London specifically, which I might mention later. But the one time I had to go to a fancy dress party in London, and it was a friend of mine, we were all young, about 20, 21, 22, and he'd managed to get, incredibly, a very good job, a good job, put it like that, in the BBC. So all these people were sort of young people, up and coming, producers, presenters, all the rest of it. And I was on the dole, I didn't have any work at all, you know, so all these people were dressed up as various things, and I just came in a second-hand suit of my dad's, which he'd handed down to me, and I just had a piece of cardboard hung over it, which just said, unemployed person. And they said, so what's your disguise? I said, this is it. It's who I am. You know, I don't want to dress up as something I'm not. Never have.
I see. Well, Danny, do you think that the people from Solsona would enjoy participating in a carnival in England, like the one Matthew mentioned?
Not really, actually, but there's a reason about that. I mean, there's kind of they describe it as kind of a cult. You know, they're obsessed about their carnival. We ask many people, they say, no, I never visit another carnival because it's like kind of forbidden. I mean, we have our celebration, so if you are a Solsonian or how it's called, I don't exactly know, you have to be here. So it's compulsory. And yeah, for sure. And then as well, we interview some English guy that is married with a girl from Solsona.
It was on there.
Yeah, and the guy explained as well that in England, for example, they don't have this sense of community. At least it was his opinion. So at the end, this atmosphere, you know, of people working together for a long time, from the kids to the grandparents, they don't have this atmosphere. So he felt it wasn't so interesting. So, you know, so some people, they have it in their heart, and yeah, they will not enjoy. I mean, they don't go even to Sieger's, or we can see it on this video. They just stay in Solsona during that time.
Well, why don't we watch this video and then we'll talk about it later?
Yeah, sure. Let's see.
Have you been to other carnivals? Which one do you enjoy apart from this one?
I've never been to any other carnival. We can't spend the time being away and not being here.
What do you think of other carnivals?
I can't go to other carnivals because it's at the same time that this one, and that would mean missing this one. So I
It's not
can't
allowed.
go. No.
Have you been to other carnivals?
No.
Just here?
No, because here is the best. My boyfriend is from Solsona, and for a person from Solsona, Carnaval is a really, really, really important holiday, so we have to be here each year. No excuse.
I think I'm getting dizzy. This carnival thing, I don't know if I'm going to survive.
Sitges, Villanova, it's spectacular. It's a lot of money, and here probably it's very quiet from people from the town, and it's nice.
I used to live in France, and there the carnival is much more serious. Now that I'm here, this one, you know, we don't miss this one, so I can't go and see them anywhere else, you know. It's Solsona or nothing.
You're another fanatic now, another supporter of this Solsona's carnival.
My daughter she has the toys, and we have to sing the songs. So I think it's indoctrination of the Solsona Carnival. So yeah, I guess now I become a fan, yeah.
Well, looks like they take it really seriously.
It seems that there's an Englishman who's doing indoctrination to the little child because, I don't know, you want to be part of the society, so yeah, you go to Carnival and you sing the songs and you learn everything.
And it's the best carnival in the world.
Allegedly.
For the people in Solsona.
I don't know, Matthew says something about Rio de Janeiro. What's going on? Rio de Janeiro.
Obviously, Solsona is
course.
the place to be.
Who wants to go to Rio de Janeiro when you have the Solsona?
Yeah, the warm
carnival.
and all that curbs and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, what's the highlight? One of the highlights of this carnival? I think they do something typical every year, which is quite famous.
Yeah, they have this satirical speech that starts now Saturday. Around 6, something like that. So yeah, they just criticize everything, and it's allowed. So yeah, it's kind of a secret one. So it's going to be, we'll have to check newspapers tomorrow to see exactly what it was about. But I'm sure they're going to be tough on topics, and there are a lot of interesting topics going on. So yeah, it's going to be.
Well, they say that for Carnival there are no rules. So which rules would those be?
Which rituals did you say?
Which rules?
Oh, which rules? Well,
people like to break.
Things used
Carnival.
to be a lot more real. For example, you said now it's a excuse me, it's a fake donkey that they kill. But before, it would have been a real donkey. And there are stories like that all over Catalonia of killing real animals, which comes from a period. I'll try not to be boring about this. I'll try and explain it all in about a minute and a half. But when you got the first human agricultural settlements, they hadn't quite worked out who should be king and who should be priest. So the king and the priest was the same figure, the shaman. Now, the shaman's job was to make sure that the weather was okay, so that the crops were good, otherwise the village died. And when the shaman started getting it wrong, they organized a carnival, paraded him through the community, and executed him.
The shaman?
The shaman.
Wow.
Nice.
So there was one day when there was no authority whatsoever in the community, and that's the original origin of the whole ethos of carnival everywhere.
When was that again?
Well, we're going back to almost to pre-urban times, when you've just got small agricultural communities dotted around Europe, some larger cities in Sumeria and so forth.
It's kind of evolution. First we kill humans, then animals, then just fake stuff.
Well, then the shaman decided this wasn't such a good idea, so he would delegate that to a slave. And so they would execute the slave, or he would choose 2 slaves, and the people would choose one of the 2 to execute. And then that started looking a little rough as the years went by. So then they executed an animal, usually a goat. So that's where you get the expression the scapegoat from, because the idea was to kind of get rid of all the mistakes the shaman had made and smooth the path for the new shaman, who was going to get the weather right and the crops right and so forth. But the idea is that the Carnestoltes is when there's no authority, everything is stood on its head, and that was the great appeal, which is why Franco, of course, banned it, because it meant that all the authorities came under scrutiny and could be criticized and in any way possible. So, and of course, Franco didn't have much of a sense of humor, so that's why it wasn't possible. But
what about?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, those would be the limits, I guess. Yeah.
What about the people from Solsona when it comes to breaking rules? Have you asked them?
Yeah, I asked them, and it was funny because they said something like, well, we'll sit on the video, but just the idea that usually they say, we're usually bored, boring people, and I think they generalize as well. Catalans, we are not the funniest people ever. So it was kind of a week of, getting a bit crazy. I feel like it was like in Pamplona, in San Fermines. I met people from there, and they told you that it's one of the most boring cities in Spain. Nothing happens, everything is really like square, and there's they don't break rules, but during 10 days, so they get mad. So I think it's kind of a similar situation in Solsona, I guess it's cold. I mean, there's responsibilities. I don't know. It's not so a big city or something like that.
So they need a time once a year to let their hair down.
Yeah. It would be nicer if it was once a month, but it's once a year. Yeah.
Okay, and let's go to the last video.
Why do we like to break rules or being,
We need to be good people, and we have lots of pressure at work and in social life, so it's good to do some bad stuff at some point, yeah.
During this week, we accept jokes and funny comments about everything.
Not the rest of the year?
No. We are serious people the rest of the year.
No rules. You can do a lot of things that the rest of the year you can't do.
It's much better to laugh at yourself and have fun than be sad and be serious, no?
That's the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. After Brexit, we can all be really serious, no? And sad, so, yeah.
It's gonna fight this guy. Maybe some stories, some anecdote you remember from one of these carnivals.
There's many stories that I cannot explain on the TV.
I just won. Okay, the camera is not looking now.
The tradition here on Saturday night is spend all night long awake. So you go to have a soup, garlic soup, night in the morning.
Really crazy?
Yeah, actually a little bit disgusting.
It was typical to go from one task to another and take drink. So it
water.
Yeah. So sorry.
Water, Coke.
Yeah, Coke, things like that.
Exactly.
No, here it's typical to drink muscatel.
When the donkey pees on everybody, going in the square, and it's really small, and it's freezing cold, and you get water everywhere, and everyone's jumping up and down, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Is it true what they say? Everything is allowed during carnival time? I think I'm in love now. Do you love me? I love you so much. Carnival time.
It's funny that the English guy says, the first time I found it very surprising, and the implication is, like, now he finds being pissed on by an artificial donkey quite normal. It's like...
It's part of the daily life, something like that. Yeah. Well, but he said that the first time it was kind of strange, and but because it was cold. I mean,
it is kind of strange.
Pee is okay, but it's cold. I mean, we could do it during summertime or something like that. But yeah, you could use of whatever. So at the end, we are flexible people, I guess. Doesn't matter.
Well, obviously, the people from Solsona really enjoy their carnival and have a great time. Good for them.
But I wanted to finish making you 3 questions. Usually it's Marc. Marc passed me these questions, but now he's a respect, and it's a great father. It's taking care, so he expects a
responsible father.
Yeah, a responsible one. So he expects honesty from you of these 3 super difficult questions.
So what do we have to do?
Just answer. Yeah, just answer with honesty.
Truthfully.
It's carnival time, so I don't know, whatever. I mean, if it's funny.
Okay.
So the first one is, what's the most strange thing you have ever seen during a carnival or another festival? So
what's the strangest thing we've seen during a carnival?
Carnival, or it can be a festival.
You want me to answer first? Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's strange, but at least it was for me. I found it quite, funny. The fact that I saw a group of people. How do you call them? Like a float, a float of people. Almost undressed in the middle of the winter.
On the streets, you mean?
Yes, in
just
the street,
like that.
yeah. So, maybe that was, for me, a strange thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What about you, Matthew?
For me, it would be the major town festival in Granollers, where they do all kinds of crazy events and stuff. They're divided into 2 teams with different colors. And there's one act which is not official. It's never on the program. And I went to see it, and it's a parody of a religious procession. And that was extraordinary to watch, how you had about maybe 200-300 people, maybe a bit more, just walking through the town of Granollers and satirizing the whole Catholic religious ritual as they went, you know, with sarcastic comments as people pretended to sprinkle holy water on them, etc., etc. And this was done at midnight. So it was by candlelight. So it was really, it was weird and it was strange. And what you were both talking about before, it was also highly critical. of the, in this case, obviously, of the church.
I'm going to ask you the second question, and you are the person who should answer. What's the most ridiculous disguise that you have ever put on as kids?
I don't know. Princess counts?
Yeah, sure,
Fairy.
sure. I mean, yeah.
Shepherdess.
Frozen
in
would be now.
nativity scene. Well, Frozen didn't exist back then, but yeah.
Yeah.
And pink.
Yeah.
Pink was a
Pink.
must. Yeah.
Let's imagine Matthew in a pink princess dress costume.
You know Batman and Robin? I decided that I wanted to be Robin. Story of my life, always the number 2, you know. And she did this she did it really well. And I went along to this fancy dress party thinking, oh God, if there's a Batman here, you know, I'm going to look really silly because I'll obviously be, you know, the person he gives orders to. But in fact, there were only 2 Batmen. There were 2 Batmen there, and they were much smaller than me, and all they had was just a silly plastic cloak on. So I was there in my Robin outfit, looking actually, everyone was congratulating me on my Robin outfit.
Excellent.
So the third question is, last but not least, if you have to attend a party and were forced to wear a costume, what would you be dressed up as? Robin, again.
Hard questions, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's not about the past, it's about the present.
I will try probably not to go.
I mean,
yeah, that would be the solution. Yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you, Matthew and Danny. Until next time.
My pleasure.
Well, and I hope everyone has a great carnival.
Yeah, sure.
You two included, of course.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Thank you.
We'll say goodbye until next show. We leave you with Màrius Serra's Enigma. The clue goes, it doesn't become right until 90. 5 letters. Well, follow us on @TheWeeklyMagTV. Have a very nice week, and remember, keep your English up and running.